What does it mean to share your light? Is it a gift, a gesture, an expression of hope? Maybe we can first realize that we each have something to share. How do we awaken to what we have to offer? How do we share our light? Share Your Light, a Shinnyo Lantern Floating Hawaiʻi special.
The theme of Shinnyo Lantern Floating Hawaiʻi is many rivers, one ocean, share your light. Every life, every positive thought, every positive action undertaken for the sake of others, from past, present, and toward the future, is a river. Each river flows together to create one ocean of joy, full of diverse potential and energy. The positive energies of every life, every action, and every thought can generate a powerful force. Our tradition refers to this force as Shinnyo. When countless energies come together as one, they create a great ocean of light that is Shinnyo.
How far would you go to help another person? What would you be willing to risk? Your reputation? Your relationships? Would you risk your own life?
On the day that Kevin was killed, they were doing a patrol and they were surprised by the suicide bomber. And so they stood up to the suicide bomber because behind them was a police station that was filled with civilians. So, in that respect, he took the next leap from someone who was defending his fellow soldiers to defending people who he didn't even know.
Kevin Wessel's heart was for others, not for himself. He gave all to support his buddies, and everybody embraced him because they knew his heart.
He looked at the world through the prism of a soldier, and he saw enemies and he saw friends. But when he got to Iraq, we found out later that he turned into someone that looked at the Iraqi people not as an enemy, but as people who were just like us.
Hey, Mom. You were right. They're just like us. They're just like us, with the same kind of problems and the same kind of fights with their families as us. That made me cry.
After college, immediately I started working for the U.S. Army as a linguist. Kevin was assigned to the second unit that I worked with. Me being 23, 24 years old, and he was 22, I think, a couple of years younger than me. So yeah, we started, watching movies, going to the chow hall. I'm telling him about my family and my experience. Listen to him about his experience. This is how I think this bond developed over the 3-4 months that I knew him.
We heard about Samer through several soldiers.
And from there, we went down to the enlisted men, the NCOs, and anybody else that would talk to us about Samer. And every single one of them, to a man, said, yeah, Samer is a great guy.
Samer's my brother. I mean, every mission that I was on mission every single day. We were in some really sketchy situations together. I knew his parents knew what he was doing. It was dangerous, but they supported him. And this is a brave man.
So that was the beginning of what culminated in Samer coming here.
They fought to get him here to save his life. And then they invited him into their family to give him a chance.
We helped him set up a bank account, helped him get his Social Security card and all those things. And we realized that he has nothing. I mean, there's nowhere for him to go. He doesn't have a job. He speaks English very well because he's an English major, but he does have an accent. So we decided to invite him into our house to live.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That was the last thing. Like, yeah, I never expected they will bring me to the United States, but fine, they helped me. But to let someone live in their house that they just met 10 days ago, less than 10 days ago, 7 days ago, someone came from overseas, someone came from an area known to the Americans as a third world country where people are savages, people killing each other, people hate Americans. So I was like, they crazy.
They gave him a place to stay, they gave him a place to work, and Samer thrived. Samer then said, hey, I want to enlist in the United States Army.
He is now serving with Colonel Exley. They're back together, serving in the same unit. Samer's married, and he has 3 kids now, 2 little girls, and a boy, and a dog.
I really hope that whatever I'm doing, it's for the memory of Kevin Wessel. Every time I put the uniform on, I remember, or I remind myself that I'm putting this uniform because my friendship with him. I know he's watching somewhere, and I know he's happy that his family is doing good, and I hope he's happy that I joined the Army and continue the service that he wanted to do for his country.
We were just carrying the baton for Kevin. Because from all of the descriptions of his relationship with Samer, I think we wouldn't have been the people that went through all of the steps and jumped through all of the hoops to get Samer here. We're pretty confident that it would have been Kevin. So, in essence, it's not our task that we picked up. It was just a continuation of what we felt Kevin would have done and Kevin would have liked us to do.
Can you remember a time when your world was limitless? When you felt you could be anything, do anything? Can we, even for just a moment, allow ourselves to let go of all that has dimmed our spirit? Can we dream of what is possible and turn that dream into action? Every one of us, young or old, can do something that matters. And sometimes, all that takes is for you to be you.
Oh, my baby boy. My son Eli was born on December 23rd, 2015. He was my husband and I's first child. All these thoughts of, excitement that parents normally would have when they first learn that they're gonna have a baby just came about. It just kind of overflowed the floodgates. When I was about 5 months pregnant, I had tests done and they came back saying, your baby has markers of Down syndrome. Definitely brought down a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions that I wasn't expecting to have as a brand new mother. But at the same time, I could feel him moving. And that was like, it kind of brought a sense of reminder that, hey, I'm here. I'm here, I'm gonna be out in the world, I'm gonna be living my life, and I'm gonna bring you so much happiness. Elijah brought me a lot of hope, showed me what purpose was really, what it was really, what it meant, and what true love really was. Even though he couldn't express his emotions as much, we knew what things made him happy. And he loved being held. He loved being talked to, loved being massaged by his grandmother and great-grandmother.
I think I was about 5 when I met him. And my mom was telling me that he had Down syndrome.
So Leah is the daughter of a friend of mine that I work with. That friend also knew about Elijah and what we were going through. When I heard that Leah was interested in Eli, I thought that was like so awesome, and to know that she was taking interest in my son.
I used to tickle him because it always made him smile, and every time I left, he always had a smile.
So Leah would always ask, what Down syndrome was and, what does that mean for Eli?
It's just something that is unique about someone.
When Eli had passed in 2019, Celeste, her mother, had texted me one day and said, hey, Leah wants to advocate for Down syndrome. And that just it literally just made my heart explode.
I walked 3.21 miles for kids that had Down syndrome.
And I thought that was so awesome and just so touching, heartwarming for me as a mom.
It made me feel good. It made me feel I accomplished something.
It just kind of made me look from afar of what Eli was able to do even after he was gone. I think one of Eli's purposes was to share to the world that regardless of your situation, regardless of how things might be in your life, to still carry on with a smile on your face. Pretty much just love each other and to be kind to one another.
When we're challenged, we can choose to be kind. When we're lacking, we can choose to be generous. In dark times, it may take everything in us to find hope. Being a light for others and allowing others to share their light can bring a smile, make someone's day, or even save a life.
On the voyaging canoe, the navigator makes 6,000 observations a day. Those 6,000 observations help us make even 6 choices about, are we following the course that we meant to? Is everyone safe? How many of us ask ourselves 6 times a day, did I do something today to move us in a positive direction? If what we're doing takes care of all the people that are the crew to the voyage of our life. The literal translation of the theme for the worldwide voyage, which was Malama Honua, to care for our island Earth, was about seeking stories of how people in communities all over the world are caring for the Earth, and that the values and the practices and the discipline of things like celestial navigation, of things like the values of aloha and malama are global values that can benefit all of humanity. I think the lessons that I learned on the voyage and through Hokule'a were actually continuations of the lessons that I'm learning in life, right? They were continuations or deepening of the lessons that I learned as a teacher, that I learned as a student. And they are about patience and kindness and generosity and gratitude. They're about respect and humility. And they're about choosing to always lean in to the most hopeful, to the most beautiful of options, to choose to envision the best of all possible outcomes, but to prepare for anything that might not be that best possible outcome, right? Again, I think that's a life lesson, is that you want to always position yourself to hope for the most in a situation and to see things from the most beautiful and kindest light. And in those moments when maybe those things don't quite happen, when you feel that tinge of disappointment or of discouragement, is to understand that that is an opportunity for you to try again, to reinvest. Hokulea as a platform allows every single person who steps on her deck to step into their most beautiful version of themselves. Anyone who has ever been on the deck of that canoe feels her energy, feels her gravity and her lightness all at once, feels the call of their destiny. And I think, how beautiful would the world be if we all had a place where we felt like we could be our best, most beautiful, perfectly imperfect selves. Do we need everybody to come to the canoe? That would be beautiful, but I don't think we do. If such an icon, right, can spark one person to transform their lens and their view on the world and their place in it, then the thousands and thousands of people that are a part of their lives are also touched by that and influenced by it and shaped by it. I think we need people to have new eyes on the world. And maybe the canoe is part of that inspiration. But it's also not just the canoe, right? It's children in communities. It's watching a child play and seeing their light and seeing the way that they look at the world with wonder and amazement and curiosity and inspiration, and to say, like, how come I don't look at the world that way anymore? And then to try to regain that and to greet each other with kindness, smile, the way a child does, right? Like, those are all lessons that can be learned. When we choose kindness, when we choose to share kindness and compassion, what we're really doing is showing kindness to ourselves. It's like aloha, right? Like you build those aloha muscles, that discipline, that practice. Because the hardest person to show aloha for is yourself. I think about just the discipline of aloha, the discipline of kindness, and how with every step, if we can manifest that towards everything else in the universe coming from us, then we're actually growing that reservoir inside of us. And that's what it means to find your light, right? And then you can see the light in every single other person, every single other being of existence, because it's really your light. It's the light that's inside of all of us, and it connects us all.
At Shinnyo Lantern Floating Hawaiʻi, I draw strength from remembering those who taught me about the positive force that is Shinnyo. My loved ones, my parents who were my spiritual masters who founded the Shinnyo tradition, and my brothers who supported their efforts. I pray that the positive force that is Shinnyo, made from each of our potentials, is awakened. At present, the world is facing unprecedented challenges. People are experiencing their own different struggles every day. I would like to offer a prayer that is very dear to my tradition. I recite Namu Shinnyo. They are words imbued with hope that we will be able to rise anew from this moment on.
조주상 나무 신요 나무 신요 나무 신요 나무 신요 나무 신요.
In sharing your light of Shinnyo, may you rediscover that your every action contributes to a hopeful future for all.
Mahalo, Namu Shinnyo.
I share my light to strengthen work for youth, mental health, and suicide prevention.
I share my light that people of all faiths will together bring compassion to the world.
Yo comparto mi luz con aquellos que necesitan de la fe.
I share my light for those looking for a cure for diabetes.
I share our light so we can continue to be a beacon of peace, joy, healing, and reconciliation for ourselves and others today and tomorrow.
I share my light for the LGBTQ+ community to shine their unique and amazing personality to brighten the world and Wakta Uyafa Fuji.
I share my light ตั้งหักความเมตตากรุณาที่ข้าเฮามีค่ะออ
I share my light so we can find each other.
Ho'omā lama lama au I ka ho'ona'au au. Iola na hanau na mahope.
I share my light เพื่อเด็กที่ได้โอกาสให้ได้รับการศึกษาที่มีคุณภาพ
I share my light by being there whenever others need me.
We share our light as Sikhs for justice, equality, and for all beings to be treated with dignity and respect.
We share our light by being kind to others.
I share my light because it represents the divine spark within me.
I share my light for the many lives that have been impacted by cancer, friends and family, and those whom I haven't met yet. Please know that you are always loved and there is always hope. Alofatu.
I share my light to all the people who were affected and lost their lives to COVID-19.
I share my light because dengan membantu orang lain, kita boleh mengubah dunia.
I share my light to create a better world, especially for the future of children in need.
Ndasangiye umuco wanje n'abapfasoni bose bo mu Burundi bapfakajwe n'ukutumvikana hamwe n'ingwano z'amoko.
I share my light by trying to teach and model ways in which we can live in harmony, justice, and kindness, despite the many fractures and divisions between us in our conflicted world.
I share my light kasi naniniwala ako na habang may buhay may pag-asa.
I share my light to ignite your love and compassion so that you may pray for those who lost their lives due to wars, famine, and the pandemic, and relieve the anxiety, grief, hunger, and abuse of the weak and vulnerable.
I share my light with those of you who need a reminder that you matter and that this world is a much better place because you're in it.
I share my light for the happiness of others.